who can read Hindi well, पढ़ो किसी का DP है. Yoga karmasu kaushalam, a pursuit of perfection. Nice.
There's a Hindi DP. Nice.
It has like both the words.
So we are live.
All right. Hello all, a warm welcome to Let's Talk at Sipping Thoughts. Today we are going to talk about the big M, money and finance and money related decisions. And foremost for all of us, because we as women a lot of times shudder to take these decisions or even don't want to go around anything with the thought of investments or finance, etc. And then, of course, taking it further to our families and others who, we can perhaps offer assistance. So it's going to be a discussion. We have on our panel today, Meeta. You're all familiar with Meeta Gudgutia, who's the co-founder of Sipping Thoughts and also Ferns and Petals. We're also joined by Jaya. Jaya is part of the family business of furniture, as well as a proud and very involved homemaker. And then we're joined by Shiza. Shiza is a businesswoman and entrepreneur who is in the food business, as well as a specialty NRI event company. And our expert today who's joining us for this chat is Priyanka Bhatia. Priyanka has been involved in finance and financial education since, I think, 2008. Is that right, Priyanka? And she runs a platform called WOW, Women on Wealth, which I think kind of gives us all a lot of information and takes us out of this darkness that we all find ourselves in the finance-related issues. So that's our panel today. So let me just start out straight away by throwing this question that, we've all, as women, grown up with our fathers taking care of our finances. Then it moves on to our husbands or our spouses, our partners, who then, kind of take on that onus. And then later it becomes our children. How does it really never become something that we take onus about? What do you feel? Meeta, I'll throw it out to you first.
So I feel it's because since childhood, we have seen first our fathers doing it or uncles doing it, and then brother or cousins, husbands, all men. So money and men. That is the reason that we started with the big M. और हमें यही बताया गया कि okay, money is men's job. And bringing money is men's job. How to spend is their job. So maybe that is the reason we always feel scared about it.
What do you say, Jaya?
Yeah, so I agree with Meeta. We are kind of underconfident when it comes to money matters, and it makes us feel that it is some unknown territory. Also I would say in my case, or mostly people who do science, it's just a mental block. It can be conditioning, it can be a mental block. When you do math and physics, it is somehow that, oh, bas maths or physics is seekh liya. Okay, yes, science is needed to run the world, but so are finances. And this is a topic which we really, neither we tried to venture into it, nor did we, learn anything about it. And there was always hand holding, earlier by the father, then by the husband. And kuch galti ho jaye to bas, then you're gone. So, so this is what I would say.
Yeah. Shiza, what do you say?
I think, of course, there is, like Meeta and Jaya both very rightly said, there is, of course, conditioning. And there's also, I think, the will, to give it up.
Yeah.
Not to do it, to be okay with financial illiteracy, while I think all women are like really well-read otherwise, and, they still, but I don't know, when it comes to finance, we're okay being, not that.
Not okay with it.
Yeah, not okay with it. I don't want to know, or it's not my thing, or it's an excuse after excuse. But I don't think that there is any reason why it should be like that. And I'm sure I'm very guilty about that, and I would rather investment matters, you know, just shove it onto my husband. It's such a tum dekh lo types, but I don't think that should be the case.
So Priyanka, what do you say about all this? And do you encounter this sort of an attitude very often?
Well, very, very often. Many of us, especially women in the northern India, are like this. We don't want to take charge of our finances. We don't want to actually be responsible for our own dreams, our own lives. Of course, I pretty much agree with everything that is being said here. We are scared. We are, you know, we believe it's an unknown territory. It's our conditioning. Our father will do it, then husband will do it, then son will do it. So somebody else will just keep doing it. And yeah, I'm okay with my financial illiteracy. What I'm not okay about is, you know, women, they are saying that I am okay with financial illiteracy without really looking at the impact of that on their lives. You complain that you do not have investments in your name. You complain that, okay, I do not experience financial security. But then very few women are willing to do anything about it. If you notice in our country, of the total number of investors, only 25% are women. So only 1/4 of investors are women. And then another reason we have is, oh, I have so much on my plate. I am managing the kids, the entire family. I am managing the in-laws, the parents, the household. If I'm doing a job, then I'm also managing a job or a business. And now you want me to take up the finances too. So what are you going to do?
But
So,
Priyanka,
yeah,
isn't it
that's-
true?
Yeah.
Isn't it true that they have too much on their on their plate already?
But I think at that point, if I can interject, it's also a sense of, you know, for example, a lot of the women, whether you are working or you're not, they don't really, they still feel they need to ask to make a financial decision. They're not independent in their thinking. And I think this is, again, maybe it goes back to conditioning, but if you're earning, you perhaps have a joint account with the other partner, and you will take, you know, you'll ask whether you need to spend on a certain thing. If you're not earning, you're a homemaker. There is never a concept of, okay, a homemaker is also spending a large part of their time, which is not compensated financially. And you still need to ask. So, you know, this whole question of needing to ask both for spending money and asking for investment is also, I think, at the core of a lot of it. What do you think? And nobody likes to, you know, you feel kind of small. There's loss of self-worth when we need to ask. So is that not a core thing? And how can we, the second part is, how can we really overcome this, this need to ask? Can we not make sure that it's there and we don't need to ask? I'm going to again throw this out first, maybe to Shiza here.
So I think is that we've got to believe one very simple thing is that women are actually naturally very good with money. So what happens is we manage our household budgets, our own small little, you know, savings in the house, and in doing all of this, we forget that there should be one part that is rightfully ours. I believe that one, if you're only a homemaker, which is, believe you me, one of the
biggest. It's actually you're the
one of the biggest. I think it's more than running. I mean, you would agree it is more than running, you know, two businesses put together. So, so I think you should ask, because of course you would ask for the right salary if you were doing a job somewhere, or you know, if you were part of any business, you would ask for that share. Similarly, I think women should ask for that money that comes to them in, I mean, I don't know whether it is it's not ask. I'm using the wrong term.
Being entitled. Yeah, हम उसे अपना मानते नहीं है. I think that is what the issue is, and maybe that's what I was trying to bring out.
I think as a family, I think what families, and I don't think it can only come from one way. As a family, there should be some discussion about splitting the entire, you know, income in whatever parts, to that something goes to the woman, which is only hers, and then she can choose to spend it or invest it in her own way. And that should not be termed like, like a pocket money to the woman. It's not pocket money. It's really her own money.
Yeah. Meeta, you've been running a business for the longest time, I think. What do you say about this? And have you also ever felt this need to ask, or are you entitled to the money that, is there?
See, I was listening to Shiza, and I believe that when it comes to money, we feel there is a asking, or there is a like anything else. Has to be a system. If four people or two people from the same family are into a business, obviously everybody has to ask from that business. So either we make an understanding that, okay, this is how we will withdraw, or I think many times the problem happens because it's in our mind. We don't talk about it. We don't even say that let's make a process to divide the money or see what I need or you need. So I think that is the situation that comes off and on, but you have to solve it.
Jaya, what do you say? What is your experience?
Yeah, so I understand what the point is here about asking. Yes, it does sound like a very belittling statement that you have to ask from your family or your husband. And yes, it hurts your self-esteem and all of that. I do understand. But yes, I would say that in case you are a low maintenance girl and you don't have really much to spend on, I guess if we women get that extra bit and we are encouraged to look at forms and tools of investment, it may just be a boon to us, and we can start thinking differently. I'm just thinking aloud. I'm just going with the flow. That this, you get that extra chunk and you don't want to buy a piece of jewelry or a bag or something, and you rather invest it. Yeah, I would say that asking should not be there, but in an unsaid way, you're saying entitled.
So can I add something? I know, Jaya, what you were coming to. What happens, family, business, or whatever, that there is a certain chunk of money at profit or at salary or as anything. When a woman doesn't spend so much on herself, the family thinks that her requirement is less. So let's give her less. You don't spend money because you don't want to, but at the same time, you feel that I am entitled. Give me extra, whatever I want to do. And asking for that money because husband thinks she doesn't need so much. And she thinks that, okay, I don't spend so much, but I need money. I want to save it for myself whenever I want to use it, or even if I don't want to use it. Am I right, Ajay?
I totally agree.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Priyanka this. Are there any tips for asking or making, ground rule like Meeta says, with communication with the family or spouse or even a child, a father, that, how to have this uncomfortable conversation, but still at the same time make sure that we all know we are entitled to this and we can then use this money for investment or financial, well-being, sort of. So what can one say? How should one have that conversation?
Sure. Love that question and love this discussion coming together. So here is what I want to tell all the homemakers, especially, because if you find it difficult to ask for what you truly deserve, then here is what you need to do. Number one is you need to really value the time and the effort that you are investing or spending in building this family or in making sure that everybody has a functional life. So you're playing that major role as a homemaker. And I have personally met a lot of homemakers who do not value this contribution. And when you don't value it, of course, you're not paid so well for it. So number one tip, since I'm asked to give tips, number one tip is value the time, the effort, the energy that you're putting in, because even you will not get it back. Yeah. The time that you're spending with us here, even you will not get back. We're not getting it back. Yeah. Can we make the most of it? And can we then create a value? Can we look at what becomes possible in the family because of me doing what I'm doing? Like what becomes possible for them? Like just, I gave an example that, okay, their lives become functional. Because I am here at the back end, managing everything from the maids to the house, to the groceries, to the veggies, to the cooking, the maids, everything. So can we, number one, value that time and effort? Number two, can we put a price to it? If I'm a full-time working mother, I'll hire a nanny, I'll hire a gardener, I'll hire a cook, I'll hire A, B, C, D. And they will charge A, B, C, D. And I am going to do far better than what they will do. Because this is my own house, my own kids, my own parents, my own in-laws, my husband. So the heart and the, the mind that I'm going to put for anybody is much larger. Can I calculate my hourly rate? Let's make it really practical, right? It's finance. Yeah. It's not emotion. It's very straight numbers.
And I think there's no shame in that. The fact is that bottom line, what you're rightly saying, if we are valuing ourselves and if that has to be monetarily valued, I think we are always qualitatively doing it. We are never doing it in quantitative ways. So that's a very good tip. Yeah.
Yeah. And before you go ahead and communicate, first you need to prepare your own self and you need to be clear about your numbers, that what is the case that I'm presenting.
So Priyanka,
and then when you're clear of the case that you're presenting, then, the husband will come along. You can put it big, always begin with family goals. You want to communicate, you want to come on the same page, begin with, okay, honey, these are our family goals. This is what we're committed to. This is why I quit my job. This is what all that I'm putting on the table. I get paid ABC. I would love if I'm paid Y. Here are my reasons. Can we do this? What do you think?
Just tell me one thing that, will you compare your work hours with the domestic or the service staff? And then how will you kind of make it like
far above? That's far above, Meeta.
Yeah,
far. That's why I said that, the heart and the love and the mind that I will put into completing that work is far bigger. And even if I'm managing that staff, the manager is not going to do as much as I'm going to put in. So of course, it begins from you really valuing, because I have seen so many homemakers who will say, oh, I am not doing anything. Oh my God, like really, are you not doing anything?
We've got a lovely comment from Meenal here saying that husbands won't be able to afford their wives.
Let them not afford you.
I think that
we can take Meenal's comment because she has been with us. She is one of our regular hosts. Hear her out. She's enjoying the show today as an audience.
Yeah.
So I was going to add to Priyanka's comments that actually it's priceless. The love and the warmth, and it's priceless. You can't put a money tag to it.
Yeah, but the thing is that the point that Priyanka is making here, and I think I agree with that, is that we need to put a quantitative figure to it. Again, we go into quality and we are getting emotional about it. It has to be practical because money and finance is practical. And I think we have to come back to it. So before we get into maybe what kind of investments, etc., there's one other thing that I want to throw out that I've always, also experienced myself, that we as women are sort of scared of a wrong investment. Matlab, at least we'll go out there and make an investment, and then hame dar lagta hai we'd be judged for it. Okay, what if it goes wrong? We are kind of told you so. Maine bola tha na, nahi karna. So what do we do with that sort of mindset? Has anybody else experienced it? Shiza, why don't you kind of have you?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm really bad with money matters, and it's beyond belief how bad. But the fact is that I'm more. I mean, now I want to read up about it. Now I educate myself about it. But the point is, I'm more scared. And I'm sure that my husband has made, like gazillion investment, faults and stuff. I've gone wrong and gone south completely. But I don't think I ever tell him I told you so, because I don't know what investments are happening. The point is that we're just not aware beyond the fact, and that is why we are more scared, because we don't know anything about our family investments or our investments. We're more scared to ask questions, to be part of that decision, let alone, you know, personal decision though is gone out of the window completely. Even as a family, because we don't get into any discussion, thus we are, you know.
So, you know, in a way, we are actually scared of asking questions because we feel even the questions will be judged. Whereas, you know, the more questions you ask, I think the more information you can gather and then start to make those sound decisions. Jaya, what do you feel?
Oh my God, you've touched the wrong topic. So I was, you know, back in the day, and I had some surplus, and you know how you किसी के घर जाते हो सगन मिल जाता है, this that. So I had some money, and on the side I went to one of the good banks, I'll not name them, and I started this saving insurance plan, and that guy तो फसाउड me like anything. Ma'am, ये वाला plan ले लो, 4 to 5 times guaranteed money back. I said, fine, yaar. I was on top of the world that after 10 years, when I open this, you know, this maturity amount I get, I'm going to boast in front of my father, husband, in-laws that देखो इतना पैसा था, मैंने इसको 5 times कर दिया. Believe me, girls, last year when the maturity has happened, I have barely got the principal out. And I was so ashamed in front of everybody to, you know, but the thing is, this is lack of knowledge. I was trying to do something good. FD seemed to be the safest and bet, but the most boring bet. And I thought of this insurance plan where I burnt my fingers very, very badly. And till date, I want to meet that guy who conned me into this. But he's quit the bank and all of that. So, you know, this is lack of knowledge, and you get confidence only when you have knowledge. It can be any field. It can be physics, it can be math, it can be business studies, it can be psychology, anything.
Yeah.
But knowledge is what gives you confidence.
I think Meeta has a point. Meeta has a point.
Let's hear it from Meeta now.
Yeah, I think let's all of us look around, the men around us. Do we think that they have never lost money? They have not made bad deals. They all have.
Yes.
I can think of my father, my husband, my son, everybody. They have made mistakes with money. They have made mistakes with decision. But we are women, so we think that, oh, because we are women, so we made mistakes.
Yeah, mistakes come naturally to us, we think, and they don't talk about it so much. And we also accept their mistakes. I mean, I'm telling you, I have also seen men around me making mistakes all the time. And it's not that they are born with all the knowledge. They also sometimes, you know, sometimes they acquire it, sometimes in spite of not having it, they venture into things. Priyanka,
mostly they are quiet.
What is your take on this? And then maybe after that, you can also take us through what are, you know, good investments to start with. I know Jaya mentioned how FDs are boring. So that kind of is a spin-off that you can talk about later. But at least tell us, what do you think?
So what do I think, right? We will make mistakes, like everyone is saying. I have made so many mistakes. And you're talking about mistakes after, like mistakes you made because you didn't know. I have made mistakes even after knowing. I knew the investments I was doing. I understood them well. You know, I have done those investments myself without a broker advisor. Have they not gone wrong? Yes. There were some companies I chose where the management was chore.
Wow.
Now, you know, I am here. The company headquarters are in Mumbai. So I'm in Delhi, everyone. And, you know, company headquarters are in Mumbai. Of course, I could never interview the management myself, and we don't have a few thousands of crores like any mutual fund or an, you know, or a very high net worth individual will have. So we will always depend on a lot of study, which is, you know, secondary. It will not be that we will have the opportunity to go and meet the management and, you know, be the fund manager and, you know, kind of interview the people and then make a judgment. No, I have gone wrong, and everybody has gone wrong. Every investor, you think Warren Buffett, the world's best stock investor, has not gone wrong. He has gone wrong too.
Yeah.
So yes, I love what everybody is creating here, that we will make mistakes. Number one. Number two, yes, if we don't have knowledge, we will make blunders. Yeah. If we know, at least we're going to we will know what we missed.
Hmm.
Like we will know, okay, that's the gap, that I missed filling. So at least with knowledge, right? Like Jaya was sharing, like knowledge is power. Of course, in the world of finance, investing, if you can't read, you shouldn't be here. Like you've got to be somebody who can read, who can really, who can really put her mind to it. Like it's not something that, that सारी सब्जियां डाल दो और अपने आप कुछ सब्जी बन जाएगी, तो ऐसा नहीं होएगा यहाँ पे.
So let me ask
Right.
you, Priyanka, then if somebody is starting out with minimal knowledge, like we are all saying, what is it that they can start with in terms of minimal investment to be able to get confidence slowly, what they can
Sure.
start with, and what is that minimum knowledge they should invest in or they should have? Both those things, if you can help us.
So when you want to be an intelligent investor, you want to reach your financial goals, the first step is not to invest. The first step is to learn how to invest.
Okay.
Okay. All of us, why we lose money is because we jump straight to investing without really learning it. We tell our kids, right, that अच्छे से पढ़ाई करो स्कूल में, अच्छे से कॉलेज में पढ़ाई करो, फिर जॉब करना, फिर बिजनेस करना, पर वो सेम प्रिंसिपल हम अपने ऊपर लगाना भूल जाते हैं.
बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ाई करनी पड़ती है क्या?
नहीं, बहुत ज्यादा तो नहीं करनी पड़ती है, राइट? लेकिन ये है कि थोड़ी सी करनी पड़ेगी. नॉलेज कैसे बिल्ड होगी? मैं ये नहीं कह सकती ना कि इट इज लाइक आई कांट डाइट फॉर यू. Like if you want to lose weight, then you are the one who needs to diet. I can tell you about nutrition. I can tell you the right combinations, how to eat, what to eat. But करना तो आपको है अपने household में बैठ के. So I can't diet for you and you will lose weight. I can't exercise for you and you will be physically fit. नहीं हो सकता.
So
You
Priyanka,
all got to take charge. Meeta, sorry, you were saying something.
no, so exactly that is what I was coming to. That sometimes women think that, okay, I have to manage very small amount of money, so I don't need to. Sometimes you feel that already somebody else is doing a job, then why do I put my brains here? So
Right.
it's like, how do we break that mindset? How do we change that mindset?
Beautiful. So if you have even 500 rupees in your pocket, I'm just building on what Meeta said. She spoke about small amounts of money. Even if you have 500 rupees a month, you can begin investing. A lot of us feel that, oh, only when I can accumulate a large sum of money, will I invest. Right?
And I think
I'll tell you the downside of that. Right now, inflation in our country is around 8%. Now, when inflation is at 8%, inflation is mehengai. The purchasing power of money is reducing by 8% year on year. Now, if you are putting money in your fixed deposit, which is giving you 3 to 4, say maximum 5.5% given the long time horizon, you're not beating inflation. You may think you're investing your money, but is it really growing? It's not. So the key here is to understand inflation, its impact on my money life. And if I'm accumulating those small sums and not growing it, then every year I'm just reducing that money further, no matter how much I fill. It's like a कुआं. कभी accumulate होएगा ही नहीं. क्यों accumulate नहीं होएगा वो? क्योंकि वो तो purchasing power उधर से reduce करता जा रहा है. इधर से पैसा diminish हो रहा है. आप जितना मर्जी add कर लो. So the saving, the saving mindset that we have, वो पहले चलता था जब इन्फ्लेशन रेट हमारे मम्मी डैडी के टाइम पे 2% पे था, 3% पे था. तब हम पोस्ट ऑफिस इन्वेस्टमेंट्स वो लोग करते थे, 6% का रिटर्न आ गया और बहुत पैसे बनते थे. पीपीएफ वो करते थे, बहुत रिटर्न आता था. आज पीपीएफ का 7.1% का रेट है एंड इन्फ्लेशन इज एट 8%. तो
एक्चुअली जो सारी सेविंग माइंडसेट वाली चीजें थी, and maybe you can talk about that, is वो are because women, I don't know, but women mostly are also not risk takers, right? And we like to play a safer bet. So इसीलिए the point you're making is very, very good about us being able to beat inflation. but अभी भी वो फिर वही बात है कि we don't know much about whether to put it in mutual funds or shares or other things, the way that probably one can beat inflation. So maybe you can talk about what are the ways that we can actually beat inflation. That would be a good tip to give, for us to start in terms of the investment. And the second thing is that, can you also tell us, obviously the education is important. So where do we start with getting the education from, apart from talking to you, of course?
Sure. So here are a few things I would say on that. Number one, it's again education that I'm giving all of you. Knowing the inflation rate is education.
Yeah.
Being able to see investment जो मैं कर रही हूँ उसमें क्या rate of return आ रहा है, is it beating inflation, is step 2. And step 3 is, if it is not beating inflation, like had Jaya met Women on Wealth whenever she was getting that scheme, trust you me, she would have not bought it. She was conned in because she didn't know enough.
Yeah.
So the key here is, are we beating inflation? No, we are not. Then should we jump to the growth phase? There are 3 phases of wealth building, everyone. Number 1 is the accumulation phase. Number 2 is the growth phase. And number 3 is the income phase. So we are all in the accumulation phase if we can save money. If we are living paycheck to paycheck, we are in debt, we find it difficult to save, then our challenge even begins at the accumulation stage. And there is a step-by-step method, to accumulate money. Guys, finance is a system. It's not a gender role. That's first thing that we need to break out of.
Yeah.
It's not a gender role. Finance is a system. If you can learn the steps, that's it. You know it. Okay. So, let me give you an example here of a system, because sometimes, this word called system is like, oh my God, can I do it? Is it for me? Then we women get into that. So the question here is, let me give you an analogy of a system, that finance is a system. Let's talk about a business, okay? A business which is 30 years old, 30 years old. This business has a debt of about 1 crore rupees. Okay? This business does not have enough cash to pay off that debt. Also, this business is not making enough profit even after 30 years to pay off the debt. Now, given this financial performance, leaving everything else aside, given just this financial performance, would we invest in this business? Guys, if you could type in yes or no. And yes, my people here can always speak. So what does our audience think? Okay, it's a no for Rohini.
It's a no-brainer.
No for Susmita. Okay, got that. Yes, absolutely. It's a no for all of us. We're not going to invest, guys. 30-year-old business having a debt of 1 crore rupees. It doesn't have enough cash. It's not making enough profit. What are we investing in? It's a losing business. We're going to lose our money too. Did it require a lot of maths? Number 1. Did it require that you know numbers and calculations like anything? No. It requires basics, common sense. It requires that we understand that finance is a system. It's a step-by-step method and I can learn it. It's not a gender role.
Yeah.
And the moment you do that, you resolve to start and you say, okay, I'm going to learn this system. That's the key. When you start learning the system, you're going to beat inflation. You're going to do investments that actually take you to your goals. यहाँ पे कोई ये rocket science थोड़ी है कि हम कर नहीं सकते. I mean, when women like us are like अभी हम में से कोई बोल रहा था, right, कि हम इतने educated हैं. Most women are so educated these days. Easily हम graduate, postgraduate से सब. तो ये क्यों नहीं कर पाएंगे हम? ये तो बहुत basic सी चीज है. So now coming to what will beat inflation.
Yeah, अगर हम accumulation वाली phase में हैं, so
right.
What there, because I see a lot of the audience are interested in knowing that, and
right.
Especially, so what is it that they can start with? And again, my question which you kind of put when Meeta had also said कि हाँ 500 रुपए से भी शुरू कर सकते हैं, but what's a good sum to start with, and how do you watch it is what I want to know.
And thirdly, I want to add that basic finance course. So, like, you know, that whatever we have read in the school or colleges or not, but now at least let me start from here. So I know, Priyanka, you do have lot many courses on these. So
Yeah.
we first start course to know.
Sure, Meeta. Thanks for that. So, guys, there are top 3 ways to create wealth. I trust you guys are making notes today, because we at Women on Wealth believe that we are the money school for women, and women come here and just learn. So do make sure you're making notes for today. So 3 top ways to create wealth. Number 1 is stock investing or mutual fund investing. Number 2 is buying a property. Number 3 is building your own business. These are the 3 top ways to create wealth. Okay. You want to create wealth, you want to reach your financial goals. Even before investing money.
A professional also.
But if I don't have a business and I'm working somewhere,
right?
Yeah.
Then I mean, do I always need to have a business? Because if
no, you don't have to have a business, right?
I mean, it's a chance. All of us sitting here, yes, are entrepreneurs in our own right. But I'm just saying that you know, a lot of women do very well when they are in a salaried setup. So does that not qualify to create wealth?
But putting in the same time, effort, energy, you can earn a whole lot with skill building.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right. I run a business, and I've seen a lot of businesses getting built in the last 10 years of the journey of Women on Wealth. And today, a lot of those businesses are doing extremely well. So, well, I'm not only talking about business. If business is not for you, look at stocks, look at mutual funds. Okay. And, you know, somebody was talking about risk. I think, Harika, you were talking about risk.
Yes.
Yeah, a little while ago. And we can take care of that risk to return ratio with knowledge. If you know what you are doing, like I am driving a car and I know the risk involved and I've learned the skill of driving, I'm going to navigate through.
Yeah. Okay.
Priyanka, you raised a very nice point of saying that, you know, you should invest in real estate. I do, you know, happen to know a little bit about it, and I run a business which, you know, consults and showcases real estate properties. The issue here is, and I was telling Harika offline also about this, is that women, out of the entire client base of, you know, thousands of people that I have, I don't think women are comfortable investing in real estate. Now, for the simple reason, of course, it's a larger investment, and also because it's too complicated. See, I think women do not invest or do not get into matters of finances because it is also very complicated at this time. So there is too much paperwork involved. There is too much. And I think that is where the fear comes from. Meeta, would you agree that the fear comes from so much of you know, things that we have to do around it? And of course, there is one mindset, and you know what people.
I think, Shiza, I'd like to say that, and maybe Priyanka will agree with me. It is all about mindset. I'll give you my own example. I also, for the longest time, didn't do any of this, but when life compelled me to, I did both the stock, all 3 actually, and I'm happy that I'm on a good page with Priyanka. I did the stocks and shares, although I don't still know much about shares, but mutual funds seemed safer. And maybe I'll ask you that question, Priyanka, in a bit. I did a property in my name, and then I did my own businesses. So, but I did it when I was driven to it by compulsion, right? I think when you are sitting safe and cozy, we don't want to venture into something that so women like to also, and it's not wrong, women like to be comfortable, and we a lot of times are happy also to get taken care of. So if we want to take care of ourselves, we'll have to start doing some of it ourselves. That's it, you know. I think that's what. And Priyanka, what do you say about that?
There is, I mean, I am very clear. If these are my goals, these are my financial goals, I want to take charge. I love, like you, I mean, I love being taken care of, right? And I love what you created, Harika. I mean, I think, yeah, we all women are those emotional beings who will fall for all the love and care that we receive. And we also want to give that. At the same time, I want to be rational. Every time I invite my women, especially my community members, to kind of, bring in a little rational aspect to life, where we begin to look at life from beyond emotions. And yes, I love what you said, that for you, it happened because of compulsion. And for others, they can just look up to you and learn from you and say, okay, I don't need to wait for a crisis to hit me before I take charge.
So,
I've seen-
Priyanka, two questions with you, like 2 points when you said that you can start with 500 rupees. So I think that will be kind of a great beginning. And secondly, yeah, I agree with Shiza that we can't put all our money in a property, because you feel that whatever your strength or capacity of a lifetime, you have put that money in a property. And if suppose we don't get enough rental, suppose we are not able to sell it as a profitable this thing, then what will happen to us? Anybody from any strata, whether you are earning 30,000 rupees or 3 crore rupees, everybody checks their own capacity in that term, in that relationship. So these are two things, like how do you start?
So 500 rupees in your pocket, you can begin with stock investing, you can begin with mutual fund investing. And my disclaimer is, do not begin because I am saying it. Begin only when you know the step-by-step methodology to pick good quality mutual funds. Begin when you've learned a step-by-step methodology to pick good quality stocks.
So where do we start with the learning, I think is the question again.
I am from Women on Wealth. I have an agenda to make sure Women on Wealth grows. So I would highly recommend Women on Wealth. That's number one. It's a money school for women. We have courses. You come, you join. Also, we have a community of women stock investors and women mutual fund investors. So we have a community of women investors, which is the most sticky point, because then you have continuous education, right? It doesn't stop with a course, because then, you have a community to fall back on at all times. So that's number one. Number two, I think books is a great resource to begin from. If you want to kind of begin from books, then we have a free money book club for women. So you can actually come join that free money book club for women. I can give you the link if anyone wants to join, and just begin. We just read money books for free, okay, and discuss them every Wednesday on a Zoom call. And this way you begin your learning slowly. So that's another way you could learn. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
What about the financial newspapers? Do you learn from those? Is there some decoding required where we are talking about financial newspapers? Because
Yes.
there's a lot of information there too.
Lot of information, like loads. And often a lot of women do not understand, the business news. So they will just skip looking at that business paper or that financial paper in the main newspaper, right? So yeah, first we need to build a little understanding. Yes, from wherever you learn the basics from, you of course need to learn that terminology, and then can you begin with reading those newspapers. I personally decode the Economic Times newspaper every Friday at 10 a.m. on our Women on Wealth Facebook page. Okay. I also decode the ET Wealth newspaper every Tuesday at 10 a.m. on our Women on Wealth page. ET Wealth is a newspaper that we highly recommend, right? It has great information, understanding on financial stuff, investments, and how you need to be with your finances. So yeah, these are some resources.
Could you repeat the times? Could you repeat the times for both these in case people want to take a note?
Sure. So Tuesday, 10 a.m., we decode the ET Wealth newspaper. And Friday 10 a.m. we decode the Economic Times newspaper. Thursday 10 a.m. I talk about mutual funds mastery. So that's something that we are doing tomorrow morning 10 a.m. in case someone wants to join, and this is on our Women on Wealth page. So we have a Facebook page, an extremely active Facebook page where you can find hundreds of videos where you can begin learning from. So yeah, that's where you could begin.
So Priyanka, I know that many people will not admit, but they financial terms also, they find it like we all find it. Why do I say they? We all find it difficult. They debts, credit, Nifty, Sensex. So it's like I don't see anywhere that. So do we have any very short? Okay, let me understand this capsule like a chapter, and then next. Is there something, some course like that? Is there some way that you start learning beginning by beginning?
Yeah, we don't have a short courses. Okay, Meeta, we don't have short courses. We only have comprehensive courses, and we have just 2 courses. That's it. Because we have put the entire methodology that you need to learn, and these are practical courses that we have put together. So we are only teaching you the terms that really will help you. So we're not giving you like that extra knowledge which you can't implement. So we actually help you get all that practical knowledge. So we help you learn the terms, how to manage your money, you know, what is that step-by-step method you can use to increase your savings rate, what is the step-by-step methodology to build your own investment portfolio, how do you identify your goals. It's critical that we bring clarity to our financial goals. Look at how much money we will need to say retire, to say, you know, take my parents on an exotic holiday. Often we miss quantifying goals. So, you know, such stuff is what we are talking in one of the courses, and our flagship course is called the Women on Wealth Money Gym Program. And that is the personal finance blueprint for women. So you do just this one course and you know everything around personal finances. And whether you are living paycheck to paycheck, you're in debt, you find it difficult to save, you don't know how to build your own investments, you don't know how to pick the right investments, or you know, it is that you find it uncomfortable to talk about money with your husband because you think you don't know enough, then this course helps you do all of that. And most women in our community, I'm extremely proud to share, most women in our community who have done this course and they've really mastered the system shared in the course, they today are known as the finance ministers of their house, and they are getting involved in major financial decision making in their families. And I think that's the identity most of us women are looking for. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going to actually now invite some questions from the audience. You've got so many. So what I'll do is I'll request if you guys girls can unmute yourself. If Amita would like to ask her question, Amita, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question. Amita, are you here with us? Or would Paru like to ask her question?
Daisy Gupta has been unmuted, so maybe we can take her question.
Okay. All right. Daisy, we'll take your question.
Hi, ma'am. I just want to know, actually, risk factor is so much in the finances. So we are afraid of investing anything, anywhere. So that's the main reason that we don't want to invest in mutual funds or share market, because there is so much ups and downs in the market. So we are afraid of doing hedge. So that's why we invest in just FDs, and that's only the safest place. We found that in post offices and banks, or guaranteed assured income. There we get assured income only there we invest. So how to get over it? How can we be stable in the share market or mutual funds?
Priyanka, were you able to? So Daisy's concern is that, women are risk averse and they want to stay with safe investments, and they don't know how to start when we are talking about, talking of the share market or mutual funds. They'd much rather stay with the safer FDs and their money remains safe. How, what would you say to that, and how can they overcome that?
It's a myth, Amita, that you are risk averse. It's a myth you have. Why? Because we've seen our parents do it and we believe these are safe investments. Are they really saving you? You need to ask that. I often talk about this in my course, in the group coaching that I give. I often talk about this. Are we really saving ourselves? If by putting money in an FD, I believe that I'm saving myself, I am not. So I need to go beyond this conditioning that I have from my culture or my family that FDs are safe, post office investments are safe. They're not saving you from inflation. What safety are we talking about? You will never reach your financial goals if you persist like this.
So is there any straightforward investment that you can give, Priyanka? Or
There is none.
With the
There is
situation?
none.
Okay.
There is none, Harika, because on one side we have investments that do not help you grow financially. On the other side, we have a plethora of investments that help you grow, that require that you build an understanding of them. You build your knowledge, right? Because otherwise, if you don't build the knowledge, other people are going to make money off your money, right? Like the scheme that Jaya was talking about, you're paying through your nose in commissions. She doesn't know that she did that. She didn't make money, but the company that sold her and the agent that sold her got paid handsomely well from the investments that she did, all the installments she paid.
Yeah. So that actually will bring me on to Preeti Lumba. If you can unmute yourself, Preeti. Preeti had a question.
Hi, I had a question. I wanted to ask, can you hear me? So I wanted to ask that, all these, you really can't do this yourself because the market is so dynamic. It keeps changing. Sometimes some fund is good, sometimes some other fund is good. So then you end up hiring these advisors, and advisors end up charging you unproportionately. So how do you track it? It's so dynamic, then it's like a full-time job.
Okay. I get where you're coming from, Preeti.
And this is related to what Jaya did, right? So ultimately, we are going to advisors. So, yeah.
So I want to add this to it, Priyanka, that even I value my hourly, like the kind of hour I spend in looking at investment, and that kind of hour I can use it for bringing, like doing my business.
Right.
So just that I feel it doesn't get justified, adding to Preeti.
So here is my perspective, everyone. You guys are working really hard to earn this money. You're not making this money work as hard. Yeah? And I get that it seems that I have to be like constantly at it. Right? Preeti, it's not that you are constantly at it. Once you've learned the ABC, once you've learned how to form words, sentences, it's like so automatic. You just do it. Right? And the same is with finances. You only need to check your portfolio once a year. Once you have practiced enough, mastered enough, of course, it takes 3 months to practice and master. Okay? And in those 3 months, you need to be like investing, say, about 30 minutes every day. But once you put that 3 months of 30 minutes every day, your money life is on autopilot. Then you're only reviewing it once every year. I'm not on my investments every day. I'm with you guys chilling. Right? So it's not that it looks that way, that, oh my God, market is so dynamic. I need to be on the top of it at all times. I need to be in action. The people who make most money are the patient investors who are not trying to time the market.
So you
Now
have
coming
reach a
to the
point.
next question is that what is now with equity so high? What do you suggest? What with stock market so high? Is it best to invest in debt now? What do you suggest?
Okay. Harshad Mehta scam happened 1992. Stock market came down from Sensex, came down from 4,500 to 2,300. Okay. Right now, Sensex is touching 50,000, everyone.
Patience. Let your money work.
With patience, learn the method, give up on these views that यार ये तो बहुत मुश्किल है, इसमें बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लगाना पड़ेगा, ये तो बहुत मेरे को बहुत घंटों लगाने पड़े. हाँ, शुरू में लगाने पड़े. मैं नहीं कह रही कि शुरू के 3 महीने में नहीं लगाने पड़े. शुरू में लगाओगे, पर एक बार वो ऑटो पायलट पे आ गया, that's it. And then you are growing, and this Sensex is only going to grow. This market is only going up. I mean, of course it comes down, but when you've bought quality investments, your portfolios are not going to come down. Our investors, let me give you our investors. Our women investors have been with us for over 6 years. We are a 10-year-old community, and a very, very close knit investor community is there. And these women are there who are investing for the last 6 years. And they've made over 100% return on their investments. Were they trying to time the market? Do they not have full-time jobs? Are they not mothers? Everything, exactly like us. What they took on was, okay, can I learn this art and then put my life on autopilot instead of depending on brokers and advisors or other people? It's a choice you make. And that choice comes at a little cost of time initially. Once that cost you paid, it's on autopilot.
Okay, let's have another question from Amita. Amita, if you can unmute yourself.
Amita, you are unmuted. Please go ahead. I think she's not able to ask her question.
I think we are running out of time also. We can.
Could we have Harshita?
Can I share the website link here? Somebody is asking, can I do that?
Harshita, you had a question. You want to go ahead and ask your question?
She's also unable to unmute herself. So we have a question from 2 audience members on our gold bonds good investment. 2 of our audience members want to know. So if we can take that quickly.
Sure. Gold bonds.
Gold bonds, yeah.
Do you have an 8-year horizon? Because 8-year lock-in period is there on sovereign gold bonds. They are issued by the RBI. Beautiful investment. You can make great returns if gold gives you great returns in those 8 years. Do you have an 8-year lock-in period? If your goals are over 8 years later, and then you foresee that in the coming 8 years, gold is going to really do well, then yes, you could go ahead, invest. Otherwise, go for gold funds, because gold funds are more liquid. You don't need to kind of have a lock-in period. But then again, if you're trying to time the market and you're trying to enter when the gold is at its lowest and exit when the gold is at its highest, at its peak, the one you will.
I think, Priyanka, the other thing that maybe we need to also keep in mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that what is the time frame that we want any of this money to be available to us for? So we all have short-term goals, we all have long-term goals. We need to put different amounts and different kind of investment instruments for short-term and long-term. And while I'm on that, Harshita has a question in the chat. Maybe I can read it out to you, that the FER was the reason for the Sensex touching 50K. And what do you think of the Sensex scenario in the next 5 to 10 years for those who are interested in shares?
every 8 years, Sensex has doubled.
Okay.
Look at where we are headed.
So
If
you
you
have an
and
8
the
year
next, and I can put my, you can mark my words, the next 10 years are the turning point for this country. The emerging economy that we are, we don't use the next 10 years well, we will lose. Like if you've not seen the bull run of the property market from the year 2000 to 2008, you've lost the bus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same way, this is time for equities. If you're not picking the ball right now, you're going to regret it, and you can mark my words for it. And no advisor in this 10-year period will make money for you. Remember that. Nobody can make money for you. You got to make that money for yourself. Are you willing to pick it up? That's yeah, those are well my parting thoughts also. Sarika.
Okay, so thanks so much, and that's a really valuable tip. It's, you know, we've run out of time as usual. This is a very, very interesting and heated discussion we can't get enough of. But before we say our sign-offs, I'd like to kind of have the last word in from the panelists. Shiza, anything that you'd like to contribute?
Okay, so this has really been very, very enlightening for me. And the one thing that I've taken from this entire conversation is that it is not only okay to earn money. I think true empowerment would come to you when you actually let that money grow, invest right, you know, manage your finances well. So I think that is a great takeout for me. And a person like me, I mean, it's just beyond me. I mean, I'm bored over completely. So that's where my thoughts are.
Jaya, what would you like to say?
I just want to say, Priyanka, you are amazing. You have really opened a whole new ball game for me. I'm impressed. I'm in loss of words. I'm honestly telling you. And you know, the way you're explaining everything, it is so simple in the sense you're talking our language. How about fear, about being functional, about three main points. So I can't wait to meet you in person. I'll see
Come
you shortly.
over. Hop over to Delhi, Jaya.
Cup of coffee with you soon.
Neeta, what would you like to say?
Absolutely beautiful session.
Okay, thank you, Jaya. I am glad that you are contributed to. Our session is successful even if you've touched one life and we've contributed to her. I think that's how.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
My take is okay, even if you money is like, as somebody kept on writing on the chats also, that we are entitled bunch of women, strong, empowered women. So at any stage, at like, money is important. Money has its own connection to any stage of life. As you said, 500 rupees or 5 crore rupees. So I feel that learning has to be there. You can't take a shortcut. So that is my takeaway from the show.
Thank
And Priyanka, last words in from you.
you. Last words in. Just take charge is what I would say. Enough. Just for 1 second, tell yourself enough of waiting for that right time to arrive before I'll take charge. I'll take charge of my finances when so and so will happen. When so and so will happen. Can we bring that time right now? Because अगर आज फरवरी में वैलेंटाइंस डे है तो फिर मार्च में बच्चों के एग्जाम्स हो जाते हैं और फिर अप्रैल में एक बच्चे का बर्थडे आ जाता है, मई में मेरी शादी आ जाती है और जून में फिर दूसरे बच्चे का बर्थडे आता है, फिर इनकम टैक्स का टाइम आ जाता है, फिर इंश्योरेंस की प्रीमियम आ जाती है और फिर हमारे पेरेंट्स इन लॉ बीमार हो जाते हैं, फिर पेरेंट्स की 50th एनिवर्सरी आ जाती है. इट्स एंडलेस. So can we stop waiting for that right time to arrive before we will take charge of our finances? Can we say enough today?
Yeah.
2021, okay, 3rd of February, can we say enough and really take charge? I think this is where taking charge begins.
I think the bottom line is valuing ourselves. Let's value ourselves and let's make our money and our money talk and work for us. If we can do that, of course, with the education that, you know, is available first. Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you to all the panelists and all the people who joined us. And you can, of course, see it again on Facebook and on the other platforms of Sipping Thought. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sheeta.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Meeta. Thank you, Jaya.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you.
So, all this is done.